So I'd like to start off this amazing panel with a woman who has dipped her hair in the cosmos, okay? And I love this because I wanted to start with the cosmos and all of the incredible imagination that we all need to solve our problems. So, Christina, will you like to introduce yourself and tell you a little bit about your story, about 2 minutes?
You bet. My name is Christina Korp. I am also American. I grew up in South Dakota. If you know where Mount Rushmore is, or that's where my mom is half Mexican, half Sioux Indian. My dad's a big white guy. So I grew up with some diversity too, and not thinking anything of it. I was a singer-songwriter. I was in a family band. I moved to Los Angeles. I wanted to be a rock star. If you can't tell, that's really what I wanted to be, was a rock star. I had a lot of success. I got signed to Warner Brothers, made a couple records, toured all over the world singing, eventually ran a record label, a production company, a radio show. I produced TV specials for PBS, and I was killing myself in that job. So I decided I needed to have a life. So I took a nice, quiet, boring job working for an astronaut named Buzz Aldrin who walked on the moon on Apollo 11. And I thought I was going to have a nice, boring, quiet life. He was 77 years old, and little did I know the adventure that I was going on. I took the bare minimum of math and science in school, and here I was with a man who walked on the moon who had a PhD in astronautics from MIT. But the marriage of my entertainment background with his technical side was actually a beautiful marriage. And 12 years later, I'm still here. I'm promoting space. I'm a true believer. I produced the last 5 galas at Kennedy Space Center for the Apollo 11. I just did the big 50th anniversary. I did a bunch of activations relating to that. Now my mission is to promote women and Artemis. Next mission's to the moon in 4 years, 2024. Artemis is the goddess of the moon, twin sister of Apollo, to put the first woman on the moon in 4 years. You want to come talk to me about that? I will tell you all about it. So that's
Thank
me.
you.
All right.
Great. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that introduction. Very exciting. I don't have that exciting. But I'm also diverse enough. My origin is Turkish. I grew up in Germany, and I live in Switzerland, Geneva. And my career story is like, I didn't want to study, I just wanted to work. So I started somewhere in Turkey. And then I got to a working place company which is called Reuters. You've got that, the Reuters News, Davos, Thomson Reuters, Refinitiv, they're all there with their cars over there. And I've got that experience of 30 years with that corporate. And I started very low profile, as I didn't have any university degree, neither I had a bachelor or MBA, but I was curious and open-minded enough to say, you know what, I just want to try. So I moved from the state secretary up to different managerial positions. I had a team of 20 people. I was responsible globally for customer experience, for big transformation programs, and I got the offer to move to Geneva. So I believe in women's empowerment. I believe in being curious and open-minded. I believe strongly that women can do and achieve whatever they put in their minds. You don't need anything else. And I'm here in the capacity of being president of OWIT, Organization Women International Trade, which the headquarters is in Washington, and we've got 20 chapters across the world, mainly in the US, LATAM, as well as Africa, and one and only chapter in Europe is Lake Geneva. And what we do, we are a non-profit organization, and we are the ones who are providing the necessary support, the empathy, upskilling, information flow that our women need to do trade, to be able to compete in this tough market, and anything which goes with that. So I'm really looking forward for that wonderful and exciting panel discussion here. And with no further ado, I hand over to my neighbor.
It's becoming harder and harder. I wonder what our panelists are going to do at the very end. It's so interesting and so competitive. My name is Elena Teplitskaia. In the United States, I'm known as Helen Teplitskaia. I was born in St. Petersburg, Russia, came to the United States in 1990, And my first profession was a librarian. I ended up directing 144 libraries and information centers in St. Petersburg. And in 1990, I came to Chicago, where my family was. And I restarted my career. My first job was, I was making $5 an hour in the medical supply store. And 3 months after, I became an assistant professor at the University of Illinois in Chicago, teaching information management. And considering that prior to that, I never really touched computer in my life, all I knew were needles and perforation cards, it was quite an interesting ride. So when I hear now that it's so hard to learn new technology, I have an experience to prove it wrong and say, we can do whatever we want. We just have to be motivated. So I started as a assistant professor of University of Illinois in Chicago. Figured out that in the United States were all kinds of chambers of commerce, but there was no American Russian. So I went to the Secretary of State of the city, actually of the state of Illinois, and hand-wrote the application to start the American Russian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, consequently becoming its first president. And in '95, I founded the American Eurasian Chamber of Commerce. I published a magazine called American Eurasian Business Report. My very first interview that I took was from President Heydar Aliyev when I organized his visit to Chicago. And when I finally got to visit Baku, unfortunately, President Aliyev was no longer alive. I could not believe how surreal it was because everything was named after his name, but he was so modest and so amazing as a person. And it again proved me that actually we women can do everything we want, because at that very time, my own husband was making a laughing stock of me. You inviting the president of Azerbaijan. You are going to meet with him. And I said, yes. And my punishment was that I sat my husband next to me when we were meeting with President of Azerbaijan. And since that time on, my husband actually knows that I'm pretty serious about my stuff. I founded the consulting firm called InnKick International, and my clients were the likes of Motorola, Pepsi-Cola, Cartier at some point. I officially represented the government of Uzbekistan in the United States. And one of my clients was a company called Pepsi-Cola General Bottlers. And I met then Dean of Kellogg, who was on the board. And I wanted my son to get to Northwestern. I ended up becoming a student, but actually first a professor at Northwestern Kellogg School of Management, teaching in international business. But my first idea was to help my son. I ended up teaching there for about 10 years and founded the class doing management in Russia. I am appalled at where U.S.-Russian relations are today. I feel very disappointed, but extremely hopeful that relationship between not just U.S.-Russia, but between all the regions, what is now called Eurasia, and being here on the Caspian Week, I see how Caspian region is booming year after year. It's more and more countries, and this is the ideal state. But 6 years ago, I was honored to join Sberbank, and I'm now an advisor to the chairman of Sberbank. We have 151 million clients around the world, 300,000 workers working at Sberbank. And over 70% are women. We have 2% of women working for our bank. So I'll be delighted to share the experience, and sorry if I took too much time.
Sorry.
No, it was good.
Thank you. Thank
Hi.
you. Yeah, we're
Hi.
trying to limit them to 2 minutes, but that was so good. Thank you. I'm sure everyone appreciated hearing all that.
It was nice, thanks. Well, first of all, I would like to thank Shireen and the team for this wonderful organization. It is really a pleasure to be here. And ladies and gentlemen, it's really so nice and exciting sitting in front of you here. My name is Adviye Bergemann. I'm coming from Turkey, Istambul. And since I know myself 13 years old, I've been working and earning my own life. And through all my professional life, my life, I struggle with males. First, it was my father, then my brothers, then it was my husband. And all those struggles made me who I am today. And I never lost. Either I learned or I win. And I am so thankful all those males who gave me the chance to struggle and made me so powerful. And I'm so proud being here. And this is a part, the success of this struggle. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful.
So, my name is Gul Nara Salimova. I'm coming from Uzbekistan family in Tashkent. And for the last 20 years, I'm in Europe and 12 years in Switzerland. So my career started in the State Planning Committee of Uzbekistan, which is government. At that time, in the Soviet time, it was most powerful organization, even more powerful than Cabinet of Ministers and the Communist Party Central Committee. So, and starting from economist position, I leveraged my career to become economic advisor to the Minister of Economy. And I worked in the government 14 years, proving to the male-dominated population that women can do a great job. So I also worked in the State Committee for the Privatization in Uzbekistan some years after independence, and it's another experience, which great one. But I should tell that when Uzbekistan became independent, the system a little bit changed, if not say radically. And women positions started to be much more weaker, more glass ceiling issues occurred. I decided to turn my point and work for the multinational company internationally, which was British American Tobacco, where I also made a great career from the director of Uzbekistan to the regional director of Central Eastern Europe, and worked there also 14 years, and proved to be a corporate world also tough for women, especially given that I was the only female on the board. The rest were international male population speaking English, but with different variety of accents. So it was quite interesting experience. And in pharma industry, mainly American companies, the same story. On the board, women, random case, maximum, it was me and the director for human resources department. That's it. So after working in the big corporate world, I decided that it's time for me to take a swim alone and prove my leadership by taking, let's say, initiative. And I became the president. I founded Uzbek-Swiss Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to actually develop relationship between Switzerland and Uzbekistan. I joined Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce. I'm executive board director there, chairwoman Uzbekistan. And I founded my consulting company, which is helping companies from Switzerland and Europe to internationalize and go to developing countries, developing economies, sharing all the accumulated knowledge and experience and transmitting it to those companies. And I should tell you, within these dynamics, from the Soviet times to the market economy times and the Western world, I have waste observation how women are treated in the workplace, how they are treated in the government, how they are treated in the society. So this experience I hope to share with you later in the panel discussion.
Thank you.
So my name is Malak. I come from Jordan. I'm half Jordanian Iraqi, so I'm born and raised and live in Jordan. In 2018, I just saw one of my dear friends coming from Jordan. Hello, Mary. So in 2018, I went in our architect expedition with a Norwegian foundation called Future Talks, and we saw the effect of climate change. And from that incident, I've changed, it transformed my life, this experience. And I was recognized as the first Jordanian woman crossing 80 degrees North Pole, and it's like a big thing. So I am. I'm not only I'm a humanity activist, but what I do in my daily business, I represent international companies and I do actual trading of petroleum products and grain business into Jordan, and experts and consultants on food security for the region, and I was recognized as the sole owner of such a company in the Middle East, having such a kind of grain trading company. And in 2 years ago, I never thought that the World Economic Forum, I'll be recognized as a young global leader, and last year as top outstanding person of the world by the GCI in the entrepreneurship. So all these accomplishments, it is just a recognition, but the core base of it, it gives you a message how much responsible leader you should be and a role model for all the people you've learned from, and also you want to inspire. This is one. And the second thing is also I'm involved in technology. So I am advisor for a blockchain company doing agriculture commodities. It's a Swiss-based company. So I'm their advisor and MENA development manager. So that's for now.
Thank you. So I'm going to share a little bit about my 2-minute introduction and why I'm maybe sitting here moderating. I had a background in entrepreneurship, technology, and finance for about 15 years. So I was in New York City, got my street-level MBA, which sounds like some of us have. I really believe in learning while doing. I was lucky enough to attend Brown University as the first member of my family, since most of my family's from Europe and lived on farms for many generations. And so I found myself at Brown University and having a really exciting experience living in New York City and learning all these incredible skill sets from internet.com. That was a crazy time in New York. And then when 9/11 happened was kind of one of the big turning points for me, living in New York City with the second plane flying over my building. I said, I need to use all these business skills and finance towards good, because I had been working, doing some private equity. We were acquiring brands in this small firm I was at the time. And so I started joining political movements, and then I discovered sustainable business. So when I joined that, I ended up for 15 years working at all different places around how to leverage money from each person's passion and interest and apply it to every aspect of their portfolio that could also represent the impact they want to have in the world. And in the early days before impact investing even had a word, I was doing that kind of work because it really is about a personal journey and a collective journey when it comes to money and impact and collaboration, right? How can we achieve these sustainable development goals if we aren't going to collaborate? And this is about women's leadership in the Sustainable Development Goals. So I want to share with you just a brief story of something that motivated me so much around supporting women and girls, and then everyone after that, is when my daughter was 8, she's 14 now, and I was working in impact investing. I was working at UBS at the time and doing ESG portfolios, which stand for Environmental Social Governance. And she said, Mom, why have all the US presidents been boys? She used the word boys. And I said, that's a really good question, Summer. Oh, that's a long answer, though. And she said, well, I don't want totally the answer right now because I'm going to keep sharing questions. I'm really curious about this. Why have only boys been on the money? When I look at the paper money, right? Mostly boys. And the governors and the mayors, mostly boys. Mom, aren't girls more than half the planet? I said, yes. She goes, well, what's going on here? What's going on? She said, I don't understand. I said, Mommy's working on it. I'm working on it. And now, here we are. She is probably going to watch this. She was 6 years ago. So 6 years later, I'm sitting here and telling her that we have very powerful women who can change everything around that and bring women into leadership. So, thank you. So, since then, I've been working on helping women and millennials activate their money towards impact. And I got to a point where I realized we still weren't going to reach our goals if we didn't do something even more radical. So, I will share that on my next round, but I saw that something missing was radical collaboration. So my hope with all of this, these women have been meeting already and connecting, is that we get to announce some commitments where we get to do some things together. So my next round, what I want to ask, and whoever wants to answer it, what does feminine leadership of the future look like if we've achieved the Sustainable Development Goals? And in fact, some folks have said, I was at the Decade of Women launch at the International Women's Day at the United Nations. Darcy over there was there as well. And it was said that if we could achieve one goal, only one goal first, we could achieve all of them. Guess which one that was? Women. Think about it. Think about it, right? So my next question is, what does it look like to you if women were equal in every aspect of society? How would that have helped us solve our goals? So whoever wants to start.
Well, one thing that I didn't mention in my intro is I am one of 10 children, 5 girls, 5 boys. And who are the successful ones in my family? All the girls. We're way more stable, we're more adaptable, we're more creative. We all make more money than the boys. Why? I don't know. We were not treated any differently growing up. 10 kids, same parents, and the girls are, that's just a natural thing that happened. So I always say that my family would be a good case study. Same parents, same upbringing, and the girls are fine and the boys are struggling, and I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but to me that's just real, that's my real life. And so I never thought that I couldn't do anything that the boys did, because I was usually doing better than them anyway, almost at everything that I did. So I think that's actually been an advantage also, to do everything equally in our family, just automatically gave us as girls the same confidence that the boys had. That's just a personal perspective.
And thinking about Sustainable Development Goal 5, gender equality, I think if we would reach that goal, how would the world look like? Imagine, we would have equal opportunities. That means in development and underdeveloped countries, because we need to also consider the cultural differences. It's not always the same. And the problems and challenges and struggles are different. But if we think about gender equality, I would say, you know what? We would have fair treatment, fair opportunities. We would have collaboration, talking to each other and listening more, having the empathy, finding solutions and not kind of vetoes or saying no. Really working hard on solutions if we have any challenges, because this is our life and the world goes on, so we will have challenges. So everyone would be in the same boat, men and women, because it's not only about the women. We need to have men as well on the same boat. They need to support us to achieve this goal of 50% equality, if we think about this. That's a wishful thinking. Are we going to reach that by 2030? We don't know. But each step counts. If any one of the women that might be in Africa or somewhere else would be able to gain their own money or have a step forward, it's already a step ahead. And this is how we this is how we need to knit one by one, like a little art, painting our image to reach that goal. That's my steer.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to just add to that before the next speaker, something that is really important point. There's a few key points: confidence, having a different vision of what the future looks like. Those are some key components of feminine leadership as well, is a lot of people, when you look at society, if a lot of us have been watching images like the news and movies, there's a lot of doom and gloom in a lot of the media. That is the image that most people think of when they think of the future, right? So we need to create new images and visions, whether it's we inspire videographers, TV producers, anyone as women. We can say we need to project more positive visuals for us to all imagine ourselves into, because once we imagine ourselves into it and other people agree, we can create it. Sorry, I keep wanting to hand it down.
As I said, it's becoming harder and harder. I'm going to say something that is probably disappointing to many. Thank you so much. I do not believe in achieving the goals by 1930 or 50 or 20. To me, it would be the end of something. And I believe in the process, in dynamics, in enhancement. I don't want the goals to be fulfilled. I want us to strive endlessly. It should be a lifelong journey. This is my perception of it. Second, I am for equal rights. I am for creating the conditions. I am for very fair competition. I don't believe in any quotas where, say, this many chairs in the board will be given to women. Years ago, I was asked what I think about gender competition, and my response was, strive to be better than any competition, be it female or male. Going forward, I believe that we as women should not just support technology and all this technological development. We should remember about feelings, about love, and instill love, inspiration, motivation. The questions for the panel, as I heard them, were about parents, about the youth. I'm probably the only grandma. No, not the only one. But for me, it's probably the best gift I received. And I believe that our role in the world is to be wonderful grandmas to our boys and to our girls, because without this vanishing story of grandmas and their grandchildren, something in the world is missing. So I think we are to continue being humans and not forget that technology is nothing without love and without our feelings.
Well, we are talking about gender equality, but for that we need leadership and role models. And when we look at the countries in the world, it's about 200 countries, and not even 10% of the countries are led by the woman. What I see today, the problem of our world is so much under the domination of the machos. I believe that we need more feminine. I believe that we need more woman touch, which I think will make our world more livable and more peaceful. So in the future, in near future, I want to see more leadership of the countries. Maybe it will start with the Caspian region, I hope so, that it will be great role model for the entire world.
We had a session on Afghanistan today here in this Caspian Week. And I was lucky to hear the last session. And I heard the big desire for the peace in this country. 43 years, country is struggling, suffering. Children are being killed. Women are being killed. And my view that in the societies where we put goals, number 5 or whatever number, gender equality, it's not just the goal and just for the method to achieving it. We have to understand that plane has two wings, and it should be balanced. The society should be balanced. And if we would have women leaders in the decision-making positions, not in the roles somewhere leading the museum of art or whatever, but being in the driving seat of the car, and women think maybe 10 times more than men about consequences of risk-taking going to the war. And they would think about love, about future of their children, about their families. And therefore, this touch of love, which was mentioned by my colleague, is very important. And that's, I think, the key feature of mother being in the leadership role, be it in politics or in the business, where they can contribute with their specific feminine features to the society's values and bring those values to the up level. Look at the recent example in Finland. 5 ministers, age 33, 36. I mean, isn't it amazing? I'm sure Finland will achieve a lot of success, and less will be decisions about going to the war in the Middle East or elsewhere in the world. So my belief that, yes, we should go for the goals, but again, we have to be very clear how we are going to reach these goals and where we are going to reach these goals. Because if we talk about developed countries, even Switzerland, which put 50-50 target to have women on the decision-making boards in the corporate institutions, even there, they cannot achieve it because so many filters, so many challenges for the women to actually climb in the career stairs and get to the board seats. And developing countries, you look there and you see that the women talking about survival, not about leadership roles, but even just to carry on the normal life. Basics needed to be set out for them to actually feel human and being treated equally. Most of the women in Asian countries, especially in the region where I'm coming from, they burn themselves with a fire as a protest against discrimination, again being treated badly in the families and in the societies. And therefore, I think the goal itself for 20, 50, 30, 60, yeah, it's fine. But we have to really understand in which countries and in which time frame and how we are going to achieve it. Should be lifters which would allow women in progression in their careers, lifters which would allow them to participate in the social decisions for the society. Some of the countries have women committees, but are they powerful? Are they really influencers in the decision of the government where there randomly one woman may be member of the parliament, and it's a huge story, and maybe a couple of years she will be ruling a little bit, but then she is kicked out again, and then again dominated by male. So should be system change, should be some instruments, methods which would allow women to realize her potential and to contribute to the world.
Thank you.
So my story goes like this. I was 2 years ago. We had a very interesting discussions with an ex-Yemeni president who's seeking global alliance to stop war in Yemen. And I met other high officials, Iraqi, Libyan, and Yemeni, talking about, as an expert of food security, we're trying to financing their commodities. Guess what was missing in all their conversations? First, no one talks about women, future generation, and elderly people. No one. No human values were brought to any of these conversations. And the second thing, which was shocking for me, that everyone wants your opinion and wants you to take a side. So when I used to answer, I don't want to take a side. I am the side of a woman future generation, elderly people, and our children. So when I want to answer your question, honestly, I would think I started with a conviction that it is a gender equality, but I would say education. Education, equality education, to prepare them to be ready for the idea of supporting the gender equality. This is one. And second, honestly, I think we need more of comprehensive vision of prosperity, of economic fairness, of civil liberties, basic needs. And, you know, just, it's not about the dialogue between feminine and you know, male, female. It's about actually recognizing human values and respecting human values for all, and then it will be achievable. And the role of women, responsible as a responsible leadership, I truly believe that they will shape the global relevant policies, and they will make it happen.
Excellent, thank you. And those human values and love and all of those things must be in all of these conversations. So I just want to take a pause. We have another question, but I wanted to ask the audience and the panelists if you would be willing to make some pledges and some commitments so that you don't go back to business as usual. When you go back into your life and all of these incredible events, you might run into each one might run into the other. Think about for a moment, how might you shift things in your life to support either a young woman or a woman that you know in your company? Can you, or your organization? How can you do something to support women's leadership and the Sustainable Development Goals for your company and in your life? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tatiana Popova, founder World Charity Forum and Award. So yeah, I truly believe only one thing. First of all, only united and together we can change the world or something. And secondly, you can support any single woman, any single person only by your example, so your role model. This is my belief. And also I have a small little question about women's leadership. Do you think it's possible, or is it essential to do what you love to do? Because I truly believe that without what you love to do, it's not possible to be, like, you know, achieve real leadership, especially for women.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a beautiful theme. So, love and what you love doing and your purpose. That's why it's such an individual, like each one of us has to make a choice on how we can be happy and have love and success, right? And those are, a lot of times, those are feminine qualities. We have to make that be okay to lead with what we love, right? And so sometimes, you know, I do some youth leadership workshops. And one of the things that I prepare them for in life, and it's all about launching their dreams and creating an impact with entrepreneurship for the Sustainable Development Goals. That's a little bit about our last question. But we do an exercise on how to overcome dream crushers. Dream crushers come in your life when you're about a teenager, right? You started off maybe 8 years old having all these big dreams. And then someone or somebody or society told you, oh, get serious. You're never going to make money doing music. You're not going to make money painting, doing films. How are you going to do that? There's so many people who can do that. No one's going to listen to a kid. You need to do this. You need to go in this system. And this system will get you the outcome that we've gotten for so many years, right? Well, this system is not working, okay? And so we must raise our hands and tell the young people that we know it's not working. And we want to change it for them and for ourselves because we're losing their respect. It's very important. I work with kids every day. They look at us like we do not know what we're doing. And we come here talking like experts. We need to make sure we are listening to our children. So that's why I want to make commitments.
I want to comment on that because you
Okay.
talked about purpose or what you love or having inspiration. I think the big thing that's missing is inspiration. So I did not mean to work with astronauts. That was not the plan for my life. However, I became the fly on the wall of an Apollo astronaut. I traveled all over the world with him. Every single country that we went to. I went to Mongolia. I went to Nepal. Everywhere. Every day, someone would come up to that astronaut and say, that moon landing changed my life. That moon landing inspired me to believe that impossible things were possible. And it made me want to do something. Maybe not necessarily be an astronaut, but maybe be a teacher. Or actually, interestingly, I was raising money last year for the Apollo moon landing 50th anniversary. Last July was the 50th anniversary of the first moon landing. And almost everyone who helped me was an artist or in the entertainment business. The guys at Pixar, the guy who invented Adobe Photoshop, his name is John Knoll, he's at ILM. Every single one of these people said, you had me at moon. That inspired and changed my life and gave me inspiration. I got up at an SAP event last year and I started saying to people, we need that kind of inspiration again. We need the role models. We need something to believe in again. We need that inspiration. And the thing that people, if you're not paying attention, the game changers of the world today, the Jeff Bezos, the Elon Musk, the Richard Bransons, the Google guys, all of them are Apollo, like diehard Apollo guys, because they use the moonshot as kind of, okay, they're going to achieve something impossible. But it's not just women. I meet a lot of women who feel that way too, but they don't get highlighted as much, and I think that that's what needs to change. So the reason I'm pushing so hard for Artemis and the first woman on the moon is you can put all kinds of processes in place. You can try to change a lot of the rules. But if you don't inspire people or make them hungry to want to be a part of it, if you see a woman who's an astronaut that's going to be the first woman on the moon, I guarantee you that girls all over the world are going to be inspired by that and want to do something interesting or maybe pursue their dream. You know, people, so I took over Times Square. And I also took over the London Piccadilly screen. I produced the gala at Kennedy Space Center for the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. I got Duran Duran to play for free for me at my gala. And everybody said, you're not going to make this happen. And I was like, you don't have to believe me. I'm going to do it. And the thing is some people say, oh, that's impossible. You're never going to get this. I gave Jeff Bezos an award 3 years ago. I gave Richard Branson an award 2 years ago. I want to give more women. I did give the first female engineer at Kennedy Space Center the award this last year. Everybody always says, it's impossible. You can't do that. Well, I always say to people, I'm a girl who's been all over the world with a man who walked on the moon, and that's my inspiration. So I think that is desperately needed. We had a big meeting with Lockheed, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, all these guys. And most of these companies now have female CEOs. And you may not know that, but most of them have female CEOs. But one big complaint they had, they do not have the next generation workforce. They're desperate for the next generation workforce. And I'm saying the only way you can get that is to inspire them to want to be a part of something bigger than yourself. So.
I am for equilibrium. If we analyze the percentage of the likes of Jeff Bezos and so on, you know, the absolute majority of us need to learn how to love our job. And I recently read an article. There are beautiful inventions in Russia, but they are not commercialized. And, you know, it's historic. And there was a parallel, because in Japan, people love their jobs. In Russia, people love doing what they're doing. And they will only do what they like to do. And I think the truth is somewhere in between. I think we need to create inspirational conditions at our companies. And at least in Sberbank, where I work, it is happening. I'm telling you honestly, I'm inspired to come to work every single day. And I see many, you know, as I said, we have over 70% women working for the bank. So I would love to see how we learn how to better work and be constructive with men in the family, in our job places, because without my husband, I would never have become the advisor to one of the leading banks, chairman of the leading banks in the world. I would have never aspired, probably, because yes, I agree. We sometimes find the energy in countering when we don't have to fight, but we have to prove ourselves. And this is a very positive energy. So I think we don't have to instill finding a job only when you're a kid. You don't know what you will end up loving. I think we need to teach how to love what you're doing and find inspiration and motivation in everything.
I would like to add to that. I think it's a balance again, right? I mean, you've got a passion. You want to live that passion, but at the same time, we need to look at the reality. And the reality is, you've got, if you like it or not, some society boundaries as well. We need to live. We need to have food. We need to pay our rent. We want to travel. We need money for that. So the balance is the best. I'm running Be the CEO of Your Career workshops. That's called You Are Your Own CEO, Chief Executive Officer. You're the one who decides for yourself. We can call it as well Chief Empowerment Officer. It's even nicer. I don't like executive. And what we start with that is really you step back, you analyze yourself, your values. Everyone's got different values. And that's very important. And what you're doing for your day life, if these values are not violated, you're okay. Because then you're in balance on your day-to-day job as well as what you're doing in your free time. Because your passion you can follow as well in your free time as a hobby. Whereas for your work, you would be okay to work, you would not love it. Although, mind me, for me, 30 years at Thomson Reuters, I love to go to work. I love what I'm doing because I always found something inspiring or something which is a positive aspect of it. And I spotted opportunities as well. But not everyone can do that. So everyone is different and unique. You're going to assess your values, and accordingly, you can then say, this is what I want to do. Maybe this is a good job for me. You find the balance, and your passion you can also live in your hobbies, if this is the way. But I really believe we need to step back a bit into reality and have a nice balance. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
I wanted to add something here. This is a really exciting conversation. I was thinking about, what is that recipe? What's the recipe for us to all live happy and be in love with our lives, love what we do, go beyond getting our basic needs met, be thriving and happy, right? What would the world look like if each person was expressed? Would they be perpetrating on other people? Would they be blaming and shaming others as much when they're as expressed and happy? And so I've been really exploring these ideas of that peace starts from within. And if we are happy and expressed and we can see our gifts, we can see how they go into the global ecosystem. And so when I realized that there was something missing in 2016 in the finance conversation and systems change and the sustainable development goals, I realized that there was the missing piece that I thought, and I have a recipe for what I think, and I'd love to share that with you, and it's about children. And I know all of you are mothers, and I think this is very important given what's happening in the world. Greta Thunberg, is that if we can give our kids, even we start with age 8. I run a social enterprise nonprofit called Dream Tank as an answer to something I saw missing. I don't do youth leadership for youth leadership's sake. I do youth leadership for all of our sake. Because we all could use inspiration and innovation from young people. How many of you people have given someone in your life under 18, you've asked them to help you with tech? Has anyone asked a young person in their life? Raise your hand high if you have asked anyone under the 18 to help you with something tech. Okay, that's a lot of people, right? Why wouldn't we take the first digital natives? They're the only ones who have been born with an iPhone. This is tech, this is everything, right? Why wouldn't we ask them on what they would do to solve some of the world problems? Tech is here now for us to use as a tool to solve the Sustainable Development Goals. So, young people, women, elderly, diversity, we all need to be sitting at the table, and we all need to pledge to do something different when we end here in Davos. That has to do with helping a woman or a girl see her worth, help her get confident, give her an opportunity, change something in your company that will be in alignment with this. And I want to close with a question for everyone who's a mom. What do you want to tell your kids, and what would you like to say to them about what you're doing to advance youth, voice, and leadership in the world?
So my son Yusuf, he's 7 years old, and if you go and ask him, what do you want to be when you grow up? He'll tell you, I want to save humanity. So it's funny when you hear us, he started, telling this when he was 5. So first, there's 2 things. We need to teach our children to be grounded in their own identity and respecting others. Then it will be easier for tolerance and openness. And these, by the way, definitions are being always redefined and developed over years. So that we need to teach them to have this open mentality to redefine these words and what does it mean. And the second thing is always, and it's my struggle when I do purely traditional trading business of petroleum products and grains, is like how, and this is, I always question this too, I always question myself and challenge myself and always ask my son, is 2 things. What do you do every single day that lead to environmental protection and social development? And second, does your moral compass lead you to solving the global urging challenges? And it should be really something very small. You start with first yourself, keeping your values when you are in a higher position, because we don't want you to lose your moral compass as a woman. And the second thing is, what do you do? And of course, working on yourself. And second, of course, inspiring young people just by acting upon your own values, which is very important when you reach in a point where your values sometimes it would be questionable, or you have the question of power or seeking truth. So,
very much agree with you, and I true believer in the capacity of our children to achieve enormous goals in their life. Our mother's duty and grandmother's duty to encourage them to find their identity, what exactly they want to do in their lives, to understand themselves first, what their values are, where they want to see them in few years, and to understand what kind of passion and for what they have to realize their potential. And we facilitate that process. We encourage them, we bring them courage to create this can-do attitude. One of the leadership features which not avoidable. And I can give you example that my daughter, she was stuck with the first son, my grandson, at home for 3 years, and she felt having 2 diplomas, what would I do if I do all my life sitting at home doing nothing? And she was sort of not certain whether she can achieve what she would like to achieve, because from the being small girl, she always was keen on the topic of beauty. Everything related to beauty was wow effect. And I said to her, okay, you've got 2 diplomas, economist and lawyer, but if your passion is actually beauty, just go for it. Make your hobby your real business. Go for it, you can do it. And I encouraged her to take ownership for her idea. And she launched her beauty salon for several years, very successful, overpacked, Everyone knows her in the village we live in, and even surroundings, and from Zurich and everywhere. The customers booking her time months or twice, 2 months in advance, and she realizing herself. The same I do with my grandson. I'm always challenging his thinking pattern, provoking him with certain questions that he would understand what he really wants to have in his life. And I think this is our contribution to the young generation, to encourage them to become the leaders of the world, take that in their hands and hold it strongly.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I'm going to recruit you to be one of my Dream Tank mentors for the kids. They need people like you. Thank you.
I am the mother of 2 daughters. So my house is like girls' boarding school. Full of girls, no male. Well, I am the mother of 2 daughters. One is 16 and the other is 12 years old. And I love the expression of digital natives. And we are called digital immigrants. And you know what? I am learning a lot from my kids, from my daughters. And at the day that I was supposed to travel here, a day before, we were lying down on the bed, 3 of us. And I opened the subject to them, to my daughters, and I said, girls, tell me what you're thinking about male and females, the gender equality. You know what was the first reaction of my 16-year-old daughter? Mom, are you crazy? I mean, you shouldn't mention about male and female. You shouldn't talk about the gender. And I said, what the hell you're talking? And she said that it has to be the equality of the individuals.
Yes.
So
yes.
Please give my message to everyone at the panel that they shouldn't mention about the gender. They should talk about the equality of the individuals. So this is my message of 16-year-old daughter.
What's her name?
Terine.
Terine?
Terine, yes.
Terine.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say a message to you, Terine. You are a genius, and many children like you, we should be listening to more and more, and ideas like that should be sitting here in the World Economic Forum. So next year, we are bringing some kids. Maybe you can bring your daughter. Yeah. We can bring our kids here, and maybe we should put them on this panel. Yeah, I have a 14-year-old daughter. You have a 16-year-old daughter, right? Yeah. And did you know that there's 16 different genders in with the kids talk about today? They don't want to pick one. But there's 16 different genders.
Heidi, I was surprised. I mean, we were just lying down on the bed and talking about males and females, gender equality, and the reaction of her, natural reaction. Mom, please tell them they should not headline gender equality. They have to headline individuals' equality.
All right. Wow, wonderful. Maybe we'll name a panel after that next year for her. Yes.
I concur with that, and I think I mentioned that throughout all of my remarks, that I personally believe in equality between the people, equality of rights. And I instilled this in my son, and now I'm trying to do the same with my granddaughters. My son started working when he was 9. He started passing out flyers because he wanted to earn his own pocket money. And we believe in education. But I always instilled in him that you can have your job, but you can always do whatever you desire, what you dream of, as a volunteer. And I'm the proudest mom on earth because he is now very active in many charities. And even when he was in college, he went to underprivileged communities and helped school children to study better, to prepare for college. And this makes me immensely proud. And I believe that this is, this strive for education, this belief in sharing is something that we need to share with our children. And I very much hope, and I know my son is already better than me, and I hope that my granddaughters will outperform and outdream. I wish all of us to have our dreams come true, and it of course includes what our children and grandchildren and the whole world to be happy.
Thank you. Thank you. And I've got a son of 23. He's a big boy now. He's working now. He doesn't still not really know what he wants to do. So he's trying to figure it out. He's a bit late with everything. But that's fine, you know, that's his journey. And I support him as much as I can. And his thing is to be grateful on what we have at the moment. We never really realize this. And be respectful, and most importantly, non-judgmental. And that's what he's always acting on. Everyone for him is equal. And that's something that we need to teach our generation, our new generation, our kids, which is very important. And the pledge today that I want to give is what I'm doing now. After my corporate career of 30 years, I created my own company, and it's called InnKick. Get out of your horizons and boundaries. I'm running these workshops for women because I want to empower each of the women for themselves and would like them to discover themselves. And that's my pledge, that I'm going to do this for as many women as I can. Thank you.
So I'll make a pledge. I am a mother also. I have a 5-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter. And obviously, I'm going to go back to space. Space is a way, I do space education as well. I created giant moon and Mars maps that we give to schools. And you were talking about purpose. I just started Purpose Entertainment because I'm an entertainment person. I create events, activations because of the purpose. I could make a lot more money if I just went and did things and that I didn't care about. But it really is meaningful for me to do things, especially that inspire kids. My daughter says she wants to be, her idol is Mae Jemison, who's an African-American female astronaut who is a medical doctor astronaut. So she says, I want to be Mae Jemison, a medical doctor and astronaut. I want to be a geologist. I want to be a detective. I want to be, there's one more she added. She's like, you got to keep adding. I have a few more. And so can I do all those things, Mama? Of course you can, honey. So I think my pledge that I've already kind of made this anyway for women. This is a big year for America. This is the 100th anniversary of the women's vote nationwide. 1920 is when women nationwide got the right to vote. August of 2020 is the Women's Vote Centennial. So I'm doing a lot of activations that are about including women, making women aware of it, making them aware of the women. You know, a lot of guys call me blunt. They think that I'm very blunt. I'm told a lot that I have a male energy. I have a deep voice. I get called sir at least twice a week on the phone. But the thing I wanted to say is, 100 years ago, can you imagine? We're all strong women on this stage. Could you imagine the women 100 years ago and how tough they had to be to fight for women's right to vote? So I kind of want to help. My pledge is to try to get women have that same spirit again of coming together, bringing all of our strengths together for something bigger than ourselves. And we're much stronger together. Rather than competing, when we work together, we can get a lot done. Like, they fought for 72 years for women to get the vote. Now we are 100 years later, and we're still fighting, but we can continue to do that if we all commit to join together, not just for ourselves as women, but hopefully as models for young girls to see what we can do when we join together. So that's my pledge.
Thank you. Okay, last thing. So, I want to share that, I'm very, very, very excited about this panel, and there's one piece that I haven't heard yet, and I want to just make sure it's in the space, is that this is not about really men and women. This is about flow and balance of all the energies on the planet so everyone can do their part. And so I would like to ask everyone in this room if they might try to not use the word but anymore when you're listening to people's ideas, because it negates what they just said. That's what we did. We asked on the panel, right? We said, we want to be unified. Everyone's idea is fantastic, and we might have a different take on it. It's not a but, it's an and. And that's what I do with the kids in our workshop as well. From the youngest ages, they're realizing I don't want to negate someone's idea. The other word that is toxic in developing the new word is should. People have said, don't should on yourself, or please don't should on me. Okay, so should make someone feel bad for something that you think that they should have done, but it doesn't help move forward in any way, in any situation. So just try to use that word should, unless it's a fun way to use the word should.
Go to the parties tonight.
Yeah, going to the parties. You should go to the party. You should laugh as much as possible. These are good shoulds, right? And also, the other request is listen to children. Listen to what they have to say. They are very wise. They have ideas for us. And so my pledge is that I'm on this planet to listen to children's ideas, help them launch a business or an innovation that is from their passion, something they love doing so much they can't imagine being anything but happy when they're doing it. Choose a sustainable development goal, launch something, and learn how to make money doing something you love, achieving positive impact in your community. And that's what Dream Tank is about. And that's my mission in the world, is to partner here with anyone who believes the same, because we're going to get to 1 billion kids. And if we have 1 billion kids activated and feel seen, heard, get their ideas heard, and adults can help them, moms in all of our network, dads, everyone, take them seriously right now. Look at Greta, look at Parkland, look at other things. Take them seriously. Do not pat them on the head and say, what do you want to do when you grow up, actually? It's what do you want to do now? Now's the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was very energizing, and I think we're all going to leave this space walking a bit taller and with a lot of ideas. I also hope for the future that we will not have panels anymore about women leadership, because I hope in the future women are leaders and we don't have to discuss anymore how to get them to those positions. So.